Hello. I hope you're well, and depending on where you are right now, I hope that you're transitioning well with the cycles of the year. Where I am, it's winter, and we're still very much in winter, but this time of the year I feel like it can be a pretty tough time for a lot of people, whether it's because of money or because things are really dark outside. You know, you're lucky if you kind of get a bit of winter sun and the weather's okay, which where I am, it has been for the last while. But also there's a lot of pressure. It's a new year, let's get moving fast, let's start re-achieving loads of things, working towards big goals, and I think that that's nice, and I actually do like embracing this time of the year and like that energy. It gives me a bit of a boost when the people around me are also doing things like that. But at the same time, I want to remember that it's still winter and our bodies aren't ready to move that fast, and they still want to move slow, and the natural world outside represents that. It reflects that back. It reflects our nature back to us of like we're still very much in this hibernation mode, and spring is when, you know, we're kind of coming out of this hibernation state. So I just want to remind myself that, because yeah, there's a lot of pressures from left, right and centre. And I've been inspired today to make this video because I want this video to be a reminder of the light and the dark. I want this video to remind me that it's okay to take an alternate journey, that it's okay to choose something else in life and not necessarily, I can't think of the word, but not necessarily be on like the right path that we're all told we should be on. And so I want this to act as a reminder for that, and to create space for that in my life and in this little pocket in the world on YouTube, and also to talk a little bit about choosing this different way of living. And something that I found is that at the beginning of sort of going off the beaten path, I was so excited, and I had started reading The Artist's Way at the time, and I was so excited. And I remember since I was a teenager, I was like, I want something else for myself. I want something different for myself. I felt so strong about it, and my hormones and my ego from being a teenager really like pushed me in that direction, and I still have part of that inside of myself. But I'm also finding a lot of doubt creeping in, a lot of like social pressures, a lot of like, you know, what we should be doing. Like what should that look like? You know, you go to college, you get a job, and then you work, and then you get a pension, and then you die. And that's what I feel like we've been told. And since reading The Artist's Way, I've kind of been able to tap into this like bit of magic of like creating, of tapping into this deeper way of living, of tapping into the creative spirit, of living through that life and letting that flow through me. And I still want to believe in that. And I feel like particularly now in January with the darkness outside, and I know that I also want to consider that. I want to consider that it's dark outside, and I want to consider that I'm also in autumn in my menstrual cycle, and I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable. And something that I notice creeps in at this time of the month is comparison and self-doubt, that inner critic of like, are you doing enough? What are you doing? You're not. I'm also just considering that that's kind of where, you know, where this motivation to create this video is coming from. It's like I'm noticing that, and it's inspiring me instead to choose to share a bit about it rather than to just disappear inwardly. Yeah, I just don't want to disappear alone in it, because I feel like choosing an alternate path is already lonely enough. And so in times like these, if I can get out of that and share, I personally feel like that for me feels intuitive, and it feels like I'm also saying to my inner child and to my just inner self, my inner adult, like, you're allowed to be seen no matter where you're at. And I think that that's really powerful. That's where I find myself at the moment. And from that, I want to talk about the fact that when you go on this alternate path, it can be quite lonely, and especially when you're not maybe around people who are doing similar things to you or who maybe believe in the magic. And I find myself focusing on all the reasons why things won't work rather than why they will work. And so I really want to believe in that magic. I feel like since we've been young, we've been, you know, kind of taught to get rid of the artist within us, whether it's been like school or parents or whatever. We've been taught to get rid of the artist within us, to sort of like take out all of the spirit that's inside of our souls and just become soulless and live from that way. Stop creating, stop dreaming. And that's such a sad way to live. I'm so sad that we've been taught that as humans, and I want more than that. I don't want to believe that. I really don't. I want to believe that anything is possible, and I want to tell my inner child that I can achieve my dreams and that like anything is possible. I'm just so sad that we've been told otherwise. And I feel like while there is this part of me that has this wisdom of like things can work out, I feel like right now I'm just not in that space. And I'm in this really doubting, confusing space where I'm like, should I just go back to the path that I was told to go on, or that society thinks I should be on? Should I just go back? And I think that's really scary. I think that's and that's what makes it as well so lonely, is that like you're almost tapping into this reality and the possibility, but then the outside world is like, that's, you know, it's like it's confusing the mind because the outside world isn't tapped into that reality. And you meet few people on the path that are tapped into that reality. I think the more you are in that reality, the more and more you meet people, but I just mean in the day-to-day, you meet little people that are tapped into that reality. And I think when I start to doubt the path, the journey, the alternate way of living, I feel like I get so demotivated, and I also start to feel like the goal is so far away that I'm like, what's the point? What's the point of working on all the different things that I want to work on? And I feel like before, especially when I was a teenager, I would have let myself just completely be beaten down by that and just let that sadness take over of like, it's not possible, it's not realistic. And I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I want to be like, okay, like let's feel into that. What's going on here? What's there to be felt? What feelings are coming up? And to sit in that, but to not let it take over and to remind myself of that magic. I just feel like it's so hard to hang on to that magic in the world that we live in. This is why I want this reminder for myself that like that magic is still there and anything is possible, and like take your time and go and rest if you need to and come back to it because things are okay and things will work out. And this is just a bit of a dump, but I just really want to share this as part of the journey, and I don't want to let myself be sucked up in the isolating thoughts on a collective level. I just don't. And so I guess I'm also realizing that I am part of this deeper collective consciousness, and I am part of that, and I deserve to share in that and to exist in that and to allow myself to be seen in that, and in the imperfections. And I know that's something I keep saying over and over again. But I also feel like within that same kind of tone, the opposite of depression is expression. I want to make sure that I just keep allowing myself to express myself during this time and not lay dormant and feed into the isolation, and just remind myself that I am part of everything and nothing, and that's beautiful, and I'm not alone in that, whatever that means. So yeah, let's create and show up for ourselves and be ourselves. A message to the self, I guess, in times of darkness. Sending you so much love. Take care of yourself. And it was just a quick spill out that I wanted to share collectively. So take care. Bye.